My name is Evelyn. I am 78 years old, and last Tuesday night, a ghost tried to rob me. Not a ghost from a story, but the ghost of my own life. A ghost wearing a ski mask and holding my late husband's old wrench. Let me start at the beginning so you understand the ending. My world is small, and I like it that way. It consists of my little brick house on Maple Lane, my garden where I grow tomatoes and roses, my books, and my memories. My son, Michael, is the center of all those memories, my bright, beautiful boy. He moved to the city over a decade ago, chasing big dreams in the tech world. We talk every Sunday like clockwork. His calls are shorter now, always busy, always stressed, but he's my son. I hear the fatigue in his voice and I worry. He's 42, divorced, and the city life, I think, has been harder on him than he lets on. Last month, during our call, I made a mistake, a mother's mistake. I was so proud, you see, foolishly proud. The house is finally paid off, sweetheart, I said, a lightness in my chest. Can you believe it? After all these years. And with your father's pension and my little savings, I'm quite comfortable, really. I might even treat myself to one of those fancy new televisions. There was a pause on the line, a little too long. That's great, Mom, really great. I'm happy for you. His voice sounded strange, tight. Listen, I've got to run, a big meeting. Love you. He hung up before I could say it back. A tiny cold spot formed in my stomach, but I brushed it away. He was just busy. The following Sundays, he missed our calls. He texted instead. Crazy deadline, Mom. Sorry, talk next week. Then, not feeling well. Call you soon. The cold spot in my stomach grew. A mother knows the sound of her child's voice, even in text. Something was wrong. Then last Tuesday night it happened. It was just past 10. I was in my nightgown watching an old black and white movie, my knitting in my lap. The house was quiet, just the hum of the refrigerator and the whisper of the wind outside. I heard a sound at the back door, not the wind, a sharp metallic scrape, like someone was trying to jimmy the lock. My heart, old and careful, began to pound. I sat frozen. It's just a branch, I told myself, but I trimmed the branches last week. I slowly put my knitting down and reached for the phone on the side table. My fingers were trembling as I dialed 9, then 1. Crash! The back door, the old one with the weak frame, splintered inward. A figure burst into my kitchen, dark and massive in the shadows of the hallway light. He was dressed all in black, a hoodie pulled up, a ski mask covering his face. He held a long, heavy wrench. I knew it was my Henry's wrench from the toolbox in the garage. He must have gotten it on his way in. A scream caught in my throat, turning into a whimper. I dropped the phone. It clattered to the floor. "Don't you make a sound," the man growled. The voice was low, deliberately rough, muffled by the mask, but something in the cadence, it vibrated in a place deep in my memory, a place of lullabies and scraped knees. No, it couldn't be. "Where's the money?" he demanded, taking a step forward. He was waving the wrench, his movements jerky, nervous. "The cash. You said you had savings. Where is it?" He knew about my conversation. The cold spot in my stomach turned to solid ice. "Please," I whispered, my voice cracking, "take the television, take my wedding ring. It's in the jewelry box upstairs. Just please go." "I don't want your damn ring," he shouted. And the shout, it was higher, strained, a voice trying too hard to be mean. "The money, now, or I'll—" He raised the wrench, and the light from the TV flickered across his eyes through the holes in the mask. And I saw them. My husband's eyes, hazel with little flecks of green around the pupil, the exact same eyes that had looked back at me from my son's face for 42 years. The world stopped. The fear didn't leave. It transformed. It became a vast, howling emptiness. It was like watching my own heart step out of my chest and threaten to beat me with a wrench. Michael? The name left my lips as a breath, a prayer, a curse. He froze. The wrench wavered. For a second, he was perfectly still, a statue of shame in my dim living room. Then, with a sound that was part sob, part roar, he turned and ran. He crashed back through the broken door into the night, leaving it swinging on its shattered hinge. I didn't move. I couldn't. I sat in my armchair, the cold night air pouring in, and stared at the space where my son had just been. The son I had carried, nursed, sung to sleep, whose fevered brow I had cooled, whose dreams I had fostered. He had come into my home, the home where I'd built his childhood, and tried to rob me. Not just rob me, he had terrorized me. For money. The pain was not a stab. It was a slow, crushing collapse, like a building turning to dust inside me. I didn't call the police. What would I say? My son, who I love more than life, just broke in. Please arrest him. I couldn't. Instead, I called the only person I could think of. My neighbor, Ben, a retired policeman, a kind man in his 60s who brings me my newspaper when it rains. He was at my door in 2 minutes, still in his pajamas under his coat. He took one look at my face, the broken door, and without a word, he wrapped a blanket around my shoulders and sat me down at the kitchen table. He made sweet, strong tea. He didn't ask questions. He just waited. When I could finally speak, the story spilled out in broken pieces. Not about the mask or the wrench, but I told him I'd been burglarized, that the man had run off. Ben's eyes, sharp and professional, saw everything I wasn't saying. He saw the terror that was deeper than a random burglary. He saw the heartbreak. "Evelyn," he said gently after I'd finished, "did you recognize him?" I looked into my tea. I couldn't lie to Ben. Slowly, I nodded, a single devastating movement. Ben sighed, a world of understanding in that sound. "Do you want to press charges?" "No," I whispered. "I could never." "Then what do you want to do?" I looked up, my eyes filling with tears I hadn't yet shed. "I want to know why." Ben helped me board up the door for the night. He slept on my couch. The next morning, he started helping me quietly. He was a detective, after all. It's in his blood. We didn't go to the police. We went on a different kind of hunt. First, we checked Michael's social media. It hadn't been updated in months. No clues. Then, Ben called in a favor from an old friend still on the city force, a discreet, off-the-record background check. The truth that came back over the next 2 days was worse than anything I could have imagined. My Michael, my brilliant boy, was drowning. He had lost his job in a major tech layoff over a year ago. He hadn't told me. He'd been pretending, using severance and then maxing out credit cards to keep up the facade of success. He was behind on his extravagant apartment rent. His car was repossessed. He was facing eviction. And the kicker, the detail that made me physically sick, he was deep in debt to some very unpleasant people, loan sharks, the kind who don't send polite letters. He wasn't just desperate, he was terrified. And in his terror, he'd looked at his old, comfortable mother, who had just paid off her house, and seen a solution. Not a person. A bank. The pain was so immense it was almost peaceful. It sat in my living room like a third person. Then wanted to confront him, to go to the city, find him and shake him until his teeth rattled. But I said no, that wasn't the way. I needed to see him. I needed to look my ghost in the face, in the light. I called his phone. It went straight to voicemail, his cheerful, professional greeting feeling like a cruel joke. "Hi, you've reached Michael. Leave a message." I didn't leave one. I knew he wouldn't call back. The shame would be eating him alive. So I did the only thing I could think of. I wrote a letter. Not an email, a real letter, on my nice stationery in my careful cursive. Michael, my back door is fixed. Mr. Henderson down the street did it for me. He's a good carpenter. The weather has turned chilly. I hope you're staying warm. I remember you always hated the cold, even as a little boy. You'd bury your feet under my legs on the couch. I'm writing because I need your help. I'm not as steady on the ladder as I used to be, and the gutters are clogged with leaves. I know you're very busy in the city, but if you could find a day to come and help your old mum, I would be so grateful. I'll make your favorite, shepherd's pie. No need to call. Just come when you can. All my love, Mom. I mailed it to his apartment address. It was a gamble. It was an invitation wrapped in a lie. I wasn't afraid of him coming. I was afraid of him not coming. For a week there was nothing. Then, on a gray Thursday afternoon, a taxi pulled up outside. I was watching from the window. He got out. He looked shrunken. His nice city coat was gone. He wore a thin jacket. He had a backpack. He stood on the sidewalk for a full minute, staring at the house, at his childhood home, as if it were a fortress. Then, shoulders slumped, he walked slowly up the path. My hands were shaking. I went to the door and opened it before he could knock. We stood there on the threshold, looking at each other. The last time we'd seen each other, he'd been wearing a mask. Now his face was naked with shame so profound it had carved new lines around his eyes. He looked older than 42. He looked broken. "Hi, Mom," he said, his voice barely audible. "Michael," I said. I didn't hug him. I couldn't. I stepped back. "Come in. I've put the kettle on." He followed me to the kitchen like a sleepwalker. He saw the new back door, solid and bright white. He flinched. I made tea. We sat at the same kitchen table where he'd done his homework. The silence was a heavy, living thing. Finally, he couldn't bear it. He put his head in his hands. A great shuddering sob tore out of him. It was the sound of a dam breaking. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "Oh, God, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm a monster. I don't know. I was so scared." I didn't go to him. I sat, my own tears falling silently. "You were going to hit me with your father's wrench," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. He jerked his head up, his face ravaged. "No, never. I would never have. I just wanted to scare you. I was panicking. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." He was babbling, dissolving. "You needed money," I stated. He nodded, utterly defeated. "Yes, I lost everything. My job, everything. And I owe people, bad people. I didn't know where else to go. I thought you had it, and you wouldn't miss it, and I could pay it back." The excuse died in the air, pathetic and hollow. "So you decided to terrorize your mother for it," I said. The words were sharp, and I meant them to be. He crumpled further. "Yes." It was a whisper of utter self-loathing. I took a deep, shaky breath. This was the moment, the twist. Not a twist of plot, but a twist of the heart. I had spent a week thinking, weeping, raging with Ben, and I had come to a decision that felt both insane and utterly necessary. "I am going to give you the money," I said. His head snapped up, confusion battling with a horrible, fleeting hope in his eyes. "What? No, Mom, I can't take—" "You will listen." I cut him off, my voice firm. "I am going to give you the money to pay your debts. All of it. Every penny you owe to these bad people and to the banks. But it is not a gift. It is a loan." I got up and went to the antique writing desk in the corner. I took out a sheet of paper and a pen. I brought it back to the table. "You are going to sign a contract with me. It will state the full amount. It will have a repayment plan with interest. Not bank interest, my interest." "What's your interest?" he asked, utterly bewildered. "Your time," I said. "Your presence, your labor. You are moving back home, Michael, not to this house. You will stay in the apartment over Ben's garage. He's agreed. You will get a job, any job, here in town. You will work and you will pay me back every month. You will come to this house every Saturday. You will fix what is broken. You will mow the lawn. You will sit with me for dinner. You will tell me about your life, not the fake life, the real one. You will rebuild yourself here where you started, and you will look me in the eye every single week and hand me a payment, and you will say, "Thank you, Mom," and you will mean it. He stared at me as if I were speaking another language. You do that? After what I did?" "I am not doing it for you," I said, and my voice finally broke a little. "I am doing it for me, for the boy I raised. I am buying him back, one payment, one Saturday, one honest conversation at a time. This is the only way I get my son back from the ghost who came in here with a wrench." The silence that followed was different. It was filled with the immensity of the choice. He could say no. He could run back to the city in his chaos. Or he could step into the hardest, most humbling deal of his life. He looked at the contract. He looked at my face, at the love that had decided to fight, not with anger, but with a fierce, unbearable mercy. Slowly, he reached for the pen. His hand was shaking so badly he could barely write. He signed his name at the bottom, Michael James Carter, the same way he'd signed his grade school art projects. When he was done, he put the pen down and cried again, but this time they were clean tears, tears of a terrible, hopeful shame. That was 6 months ago. Michael lives over Ben's garage. He works as a stop clerk at the hardware store. He hates it, but he goes every day. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. he comes to my door. He doesn't ring the bell. He knocks softly. He comes in and he works. He fixed the gutters, of course. He painted the fence. He repainted my kitchen, a cheerful yellow. At 6 p.m. we have dinner. The conversation is slow and awkward and real. He told me about his divorce, the real reason. He told me about the shame of failure. Sometimes we just sit in silence. And every first of the month, he hands me an envelope with cash in it. He looks me in the eye and says, "Thank you, Mom." The first time it was a whisper. Now it's clearer. Some months I see it costs him more than the money. It costs him a piece of his pride. Good. That's the interest. Ben checks in on him. They've even started watching football together sometimes. My son is coming back, piece by piece. He's thinner, quieter. The city slick is gone. He looks more like the boy he was. The other night he was over fixing a leaky faucet. I was knitting in my armchair, the same one I was in that terrible night. He finished, wiped his hands, and stood there for a moment. "Mom," he said. "Yes, dear?" He struggled with the words. "I don't think I can ever forgive myself for scaring you like that." I put my knitting down. I looked at him, my son, standing in the patch of light from the lamp. "I know," I said softly, "and that's okay. You don't have to. My forgiveness isn't for you to feel better. It's for me to stop carrying the anger. I forgive you, Michael, but I will never forget, and maybe neither should you." He nodded, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. He didn't wipe it away. He is my son, and he is the man who robbed me. Both are true. The ghost and the boy live in the same skin, and I have chosen every day to love them both, not because it's easy, but because he is mine. And sometimes the only way to save something you love from drowning is to throw it a rope, even if it's the same rope it tried to hang you with. That's my story. It doesn't have a happy ending. It has a hard, messy, continuing middle. And for now, for this old woman sitting in her quiet, mended house, that is enough.